Hey everyone, and welcome to this coding example where I'm going to be going over how to create custom ASP.NET user controls and how to make AJAX calls to an API. So there's already an overview video about this if you want to watch that before watching this video. Either way, let's go ahead and let's get started. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to close out everything. So what I'm first going to do, I think, is going to be creating my user controls. So I'm going to go and right click here, add, and I'm going to create a new folder and name this user controls. So I'm going to be creating two user controls. So let's just click start here real quick. I'll show you guys what I plan on doing. So here I am. My information has already been saved. I'm going to go ahead and log in. Oh, that's right. I have to make it serializable again. So let's just go to models real quick. Serializable. I think we do orders. Yep. User. Serializable. Serializable. I don't think these two need to be. This one might need to be serializable, but let's see. Let's click play again. Gonna log in. Now it should log in. All right, so I'm logged in. So one thing I'm gonna want to do is make a user control for orders. So I'm gonna have something like this, like a little white space with some text in it for every order. So instead of a table, I'll be able to use something like that instead. And then if we go to orders right here, orders and services, I also wanted to do something like when you type something here, for it to display all the users, all the customer names that are in my database to show up here. So if I type T, I want all the customer names that in my database that have the letter T in it to show up, or like test for all the customers that have test in it to show up. So let me pull up the database actually real quick and show you guys. So here I have my database pulled up. Let me select something from orders. So here you can see that all these orders right here, there's all these customers. So I'm going to want to populate. So let's say I typed in T. My name has a T in it. John Smith has a T in it because of the Smith. T and Smith. Test has a T. So all these should show up. And then if I type like test, only these two should show up, right? So that's kind of what I want to do. And then when they show up, I want to allow it so that you can click on it. So that's going to be using some jQuery. So anyway, enough talking. Let's get coding. Let's close out of this. So we brought the serializable into all of our objects here. Go ahead and just close everything. And then now let's create a user control. So add web forms user control. So let's name this user control customer search control. Actually, let's just do customer search. And then let's add another one. Whoop. Oh, not a master page. Web forms user control. Let's do another one called order. So here we will want to add a panel. Let me zoom in a little more so you guys can see better. Let's do a panel, which is going to convert to a div. Let's name this customer search container. Actually, let's just name it customer search. You can name it whatever you want, though. Let's add a label here. And let's add another label. Actually, no, this is going to be a panel. Another div, and this div, what it's going to do is it's going to contain it's going to be like a list. It's going to contain a bunch of elements, a list of elements. So you'll see blank customer, and then we'll do here customer list. And so what's going to happen is for every user that is brought in, whenever I type T, it's going to bring in 5 users. So it's going to essentially copy and paste this 5 times. It's going to create a list of labels. Yep. Okay. And I really think that's it for that. So let's go ahead and create our order control. So our order control, let's just create a div and class. Let's just do order control class in case we need to do anything with this. Let's do a div and then do order number. And then I'm doing a div here so that everything is like a block, so it's in a new row. Let's add a literal here for order number. Do lit order number. Control D will duplicate this row. Just do that. Okay. Div, let's do customer name. And then ID lit. Just going through like the columns, essentially the properties that my order has. So now let's do services. This will be a list, and since we're going to be loading this in the back end, let's make it a repeater. So call it service repeater. Give it an on item data bound. Create new event. Item template, and then div. Let's just do service. And so for each service, this is going to create a new row for every service. And let's add 2 labels. A label for the price and a label for the name. So service name, service price. Let's do the price CSS class to equal FW font weight bold. And then after all the services, let's add the total here. So we'll need, let's do a label because we'll want to bold this. So label total and CSS class equals font weight bold. So now let's put the customer search user control inside of the web config. So let's go. So it should be under system web. Scroll down a bit. System web, pages, controls. So I'm going to add it right under here. Add tag prefix. I'm going to do just a control. It's my last name and then control. It doesn't matter. You can make it whatever you want. Tag name is going to be customer search. So this is going to be tag name. I'm making it the same as, you know, the file name over here. And then the source. So we can find the source for this by, let's just quickly go into the page that I'm going to want it in, the dashboard. not the dashboard, order services. I'm just going to drop it here real quick. So I'm going to just drag and drop. And it's bringing me the source here. So I'm just going to copy this. Web config. That's my source. And then I'm done with the web config. So I'm just going to, just to show you guys an example that you don't need to register it. So yeah. And actually this is going to go, might as well put it in here now, since we're in here. So this is going to go right underneath the text box where they can type the customers' names. So it's going to go right here. Notice how I drag and dropped it, and since it's in the web config, it automatically took the PESA control prefix and the control name. So yeah. So now let's do the same thing here for the dashboard. Dashboard. So let's add the a new row here. So this is going to be kind of in addition to all these grids, just to show you guys that you can do this, and then you can pick either one. I wouldn't have both on there like how I do, but this is just for an example. So div class row. Hit how it does this. Let's do a repeater to repeat this object. Call this repeater order control repeater on item data bound. Let's do that. Add template. And then I'm going to want almost like 2 per row. So I'm going to do div class, div class call 5. Then I'm going to want a little margin on the top. So style, otherwise they're all going to be clumped together. Margin, top 15 pixels. And I will put this, might actually already have top. Data content. There we go. And then we're just going to drag and drop our control. So here, when I drag and dropped it, since this isn't in the web config, it registered it here for me. So you either have to register it in the web config, and then it's like you don't have to register in every single individual page that you do it in, or you don't register it in the web config, and then you just drag and drop it to a page, and then it just automatically registers it for you. But you have to register the control. And this registered the control for me automatically, and it picked the PESA control tag prefix because of how I had it in the web config already. The other one, the tag name of order, which is this, and then the source path. It automatically filled in everything here. So here we go. So here is my order. So orders, all this stuff can have like properties. The user controls can have properties and methods in them. So if you guys remember, we did this for the service repeater, and we're doing on item data bound. So if we go into the CS file of this, you can see that we have this. So what we're going to do first here is actually going to be renaming this because this has the same class as our order object up here. So that can't happen. Well, unless we put it in a different. Yeah, no, that can't happen. So let's just rename this to order control. Everything's going to be renamed. Let's go to our dashboard. Order control. Let's go up here. Tag name. Order control. Source. Order control. Okay, so now we should be all good. All right. So, and now what we're gonna do? Oh, right. Order control. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring in our BLL. Order BLL. And then we're going to create a property here. Now, we're not going to do this for the property because once the page refreshes, once there's a post back on the page that contains this control, this is going to get erased. So what we want to do is we actually want to store this in a view state. So we're going to go and we're going to do get, and then we're going to do a set. And then for the set, we're going to store it in a view state. And, the view state is specific to this control, to this page. So state equals value. And then get, we're going to return the view state as an order. Simple enough. So now we won't lose that this order object when a postback happens. So now let's start loading all of our controls in from our front end part of this. So first we'll just want to check, just in case that the order is not null. And we'll want to start, I guess actually let me make sure that this changed. Yeah. Okay. So now we'll want to start populating all of these, literals and stuff. So there we go. Let's do lit customer name dot text equals. Actually, no. First the order. Lit order number dot text equals order ID to string. Now the customer name. Lit customer name. Let's do the total. And let's do currency. And now let's create a bind repeater. We'll bind the services to it. So now we're binding all the sources to it and services. Now we want to do, we want to load that stuff up. So if e Load that. And now we can, was it a label or was it a literal? Labels, service name and service price. Okay. Now we'll want to assign these the values. Give this currency. All right. Did we throw? I think we did. Okay. Yep. So now we'll want to bind this data, this repeater. So we got our order control all set. The backend code is all good to go here. Are we not using the? I don't think we need this. Yeah, let's get rid of those. So now let's go into our dashboard and go into our order control. So first, I'm going to create a function here called bind all grids. Maybe bind all data, but whatever. Just take this. Lots of repeated code here that we can replace. Okay. And now we'll want to create a bind order control repeater. So private void bind order control repeater. Call that guy there, and then we'll want to order control repeater dot data source equals, let's do view state of orders or my orders. I think I want to do my orders. Yeah, my orders is what it's called. My orders, and then order control repeater dot bind. This is going to bind the orders to that repeater, and then it's going to repeat all of this once we get this going. So if e.item item type equals item so here we'll want to get the order that was bound to this. And then we'll want to get the control. Order control. Just call it OC. Order control. And we're finding, this is the ID of this. Oh, order control. Thing I checked. And then we want to set the order property to be order. So here we're setting OC, the order control dot order. So we're setting this property right here to be the order that was bound for my order. So then when that happens, it's going to populate, all the data for it. It's going to bind the service repeater and all that good stuff. So let's just click play, and it does not work. Okay, here we're running into the same issue because of the panel. So here the panel name is customer search right here. And user control is customer search. So we could, let's just rename this. That is fine. Control. Control. And go into our web config. Okay. Save. Yay. Okay, so that loaded. Let's log in. Now if it works, we should see a list of orders. Yep. Okay. That looks ugly. So let's see here. Not only does it look ugly, but the services are not being bound. Let's go to our dashboard. Row. Is this doing something to it? Looks like it is. Okay, so yeah, so that was doing stuff to it. So let's not use that. Let's start with some styling for this. So I'm going to go and I'm going to create styles. Order control. Okay, so I think I gave it a, yeah, class of order control. So let's see. So for that class, let's do the background color to be white. Give it a border of 1 pixel, solid black. Border radius, I don't know, let's say 10 pixels. And padding to 50 pixels. Let's see how that looks. Oh, we need to include it. Okay. Okay, that looks a lot better. Let's do the margin top that I wanted to do. I forget about that. Um, Margin top. I think I said like 15 pixels. Save, refresh. Okay, cool. Yeah, this looks good now. Only thing is it's not binding our services. So let's take a look at that and see what exactly is going on. That's right. I didn't call the function on the load. There we go. So this is happening because it's a grid layout. I think if you did flex layout, that would make this more fluid like, but I'm going to leave this like this for now. But yeah, you can see that it's loading the services for each order, but this kind of looks bad. So let's push the services out a bit using margin. So okay, I did give it a class. So let's do for order control, and then within that service, service, let's do margin left. Let's give it a 20 pixel margin. Let's go here, refresh. And there we go. That looks a little better. Not the best, but you can always style it however you want. So that completes that for the user control topic. So let's start going a little bit more into the API topic. How to hit an API and how to utilize the data that you retrieve back from the response. So, oh, that's right. Yep, we changed the name of our control. So let's just close out of this. Let's just close out of all the tabs. And services. We name this control. We name this control. Yeah. Okay, so order services. So I want to do something. So here's the label, by the way, for the customer control. So if we go in here, can I click F12? Nope. So what you're seeing here, label, is actually this right here, this control. So let's make this CSS class none, because we don't want this to actually be visible, because it's just going to be like the element that we clone. So there we go. So for every time that I type something in here, I want to make a call to the endpoint and send it whatever the user typed here. So for example, let's open up Postman. And let's get that request out of there. So I have the get customer names endpoint here, and you can see that if I type so this is going to be the endpoint that I'm going to hit. So whenever I type T, my controller is going to return back a list of strings that have elements that of customers who have the string T. So remember how I showed you guys earlier this database table it's going to return to me any user with a letter T in it. In Postman, if I do like test, it's going to return to me the users that have the word test in them, the customers. So that's kind of what I want to replicate here. And I want it to pop up a list so that I can then click on it and it will automatically populate this customer name. So I can utilize Postman's export feature here. So I want to select, I want to make sure that JavaScript jQuery here is selected. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. And let's close out of our application. And here, let's start by making a script. So JavaScript file, and we'll name this order services. All right, not sure what's going on, so let's just delete that folder, add, and then scripts. And that was weird. All right. So for every time, so we want to do here function. So the on the document load, we want to do for every time that the user types into that element. So let's see what our element ID is here for that text box that they're going to type in. Okay, so the ID is customer name. So I'm going to do something like, so I'm going to have it find anything with an ID that contains the word customer name. I'm going to do on the event of input. I want it to do this. So first, what I want to do is capture the user's input. So let's throw this onto the order services page. Right here, the header. Script. Okay. So now we can just run. You guys will see here that every time that I type, what just happened? You guys are gonna see that every time that I type, it's gonna execute this event. It's gonna raise this event, and it's gonna output me in the console the user's input. So let's log in. Go to our order services, hit F12 to open up our developer console, and just type something here. You can see that, it is indeed capturing what we're typing in here. Test, so now we know that we can send this data through. So let's continue working on this. So let's do if the user has input, then hit our API. So let's copy this. And here you can see that it's going to make a GET request, but we don't want to send test. We want to send plus and then the user input. So whatever the user inputs is what we're going to send here, just like I can type anything in here. Yeah. We're gonna make the same thing here. So when this is done, let's do clean this up a bit. Fail. So if when this is done, and let's say that we get a response, because here we got no we got a response, but it was empty. So if we get if response.length, because it's going to return us that array is greater than 0, else. So if it's greater than 0, then call a function to add to the customer list. Call a function to empty the list and hide it. Same here. And if there's no user input, then hide it. So first, let's create this function. So we'll want to do this in here. So let's just call this function set customer list. And then this will take in an array. So call function so first we want to find this element right here, customer search. So var customer search object. Let's do ID. And then we want to get from here, we want to get these two. We want to get the blank customer and the customer list. So let's get the customer list element. ID equals customer list. And then we'll want to look for the blank customer. Set ID blank customer. So this is going to search for these two objects within the parent object by using find. So then the next thing that we want to do, now that we have these objects, we can manipulate them, these elements. We have this element, and this element. So now we can like copy this guy and like edit and like, you know, paste a whole bunch of them for as many as for as many users as there are. We're essentially going to be doing something like this. Something like this, but it's going to look nicer. So we're just going to copy and paste this blank customer and just paste them right here. So that's what we're going to accomplish. So we got the blank customer and we got the list. So we want to make a copy. Well, first, actually, we want to customer list. We want to clear the list. So we do that by doing empty. So start with a fresh copy. And then we want to do for each for each element in the array, let's give it a string. S for string, let's say. We're going to do var the clone equals blank customer. We're going to clone this, and we're going to take all the, we're going to say that we're going to pass true for allowing like events and stuff to pass on to the clone from the original. So we cloned it. And then the next thing that we want to do is change the ID of this clone, because this right here is selecting it off of this ID. So we don't want to be like selecting and cloning off of multiple stuff. It's going to get crazy. So you always want, if you clone something, change the ID. If you're basing your selection off of the ID up here. So the clone property ID, let's just change this to new customer. So we change the ID, the clone. You guys remember how I removed the D none from there to make it visible. So remove class D none. We want to set the text of this clone to S, the element in the array. And then the clone, we want to append, I think it's append to, we want to append it to the customer list. Okay, that should copy that. And now if the array of length is greater than 0, so if there are items in this array, then let's show the customer search object. And I don't know, I guess let's make sure that add class, this always has a dnone class. Else, if it's 0, then we want to call this same function. Okay, so let's code this function real quick. Empty the list and hide it. So we'll want to grab this, and we'll want to do customer list. We'll want to first empty it, and then we'll want to customer search object got add class. We want to make this invisible, and we don't need this. This and all of these. Okay. So let's refresh. Type T. Here you can see that they all popped up. So test. And it's erasing. It's emptying the list every time that it does this. And it's hitting it hits the database, returns a list, and if there's stuff in the list, it empties it. If there's stuff that's returned from the response, it empties this list, and then it adds for each element within the array in the response. So yeah, so we want to make this look a little better. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go here and let's add a style and name it customer search control. And in here, we'll want to do first we'll want to give these guys a, well, actually first link href styles, and then style sheet. And then here we'll want to give this a class. Let's just give it a class of customer search element. All right. Customer search. Let's do blank customer element. Yeah. So blank customer element. First, give it a display block. Refresh this. I guess the database is going a little slow, but so now because of the block, they're going into a new line, which is perfect. So let's do for every nth child, let's do odd. Let's do background color light gray. Refresh T. So now for every odd one, it's going to make the background gray. And do whenever blank customer element, whenever you hover over it, background, let's change the color to gray, background color to gray, the color to white. Save, refresh, and test it. There we go. And then let's make it so that the cursor is a pointer. So right now it's just, you know, my mouse, and sometimes this, you know, thing, this other cursor type. Let's refresh. Now you can see it's a pointer. Okay, and then let's do customer search element. Let's do minimum width of 200 pixels. Let's give it a border, a nice little border. Background color. Okay. But as you can see, this is pushing service state down. So if I give this a position of absolute, you can see that it no longer pushes it down. And let's just give it a kind of high Z index to make sure it's always on top of the other elements. Cool. Let's give this some padding because that looks ugly. Let's give it a padding of 10 pixels. Save. Reload our page. All right, this looks a lot better. One thing I want to do is whenever I click out, or I guess whenever it's blurred, I want to hide this. So for that, let's go into our JavaScript file here, and we'll want to add a blur event. So whenever customer name, so on, instead of on input, let's add another one and call it on blur. So whenever the blur happens, let's empty. Or why isn't it auto-populating? Let's empty and hide. So save, refresh, T, and then I just clicked on it. So since I clicked somewhere else, that wasn't this text box, it automatically made this disappear. So I can click right here and it made it disappear. So that's exactly what I want. Now I also want to make it though so that when I click here, it auto-populates this. So for that, I need a click event. And for that, I need a click event, and I need it on this. So I can actually make it so that whenever you click on this class, so whenever this class is clicked, let's set the value of that text box, of this text box. Set the value to this text, to the element that was clicked. Get the text on the element that was clicked and set that as the text of that text box, or the value of that text box. The problem is the blur event is taking this out before the click event fires. So we got to add a timeout to the blur event. So we got to do something like set timeout function. And then here, and then we got to set a timeout amount of specify a time in milliseconds. So let's just do 150 milliseconds. I think that's pretty good. Refresh the page, type in T. And okay, cool. One thing I do notice is that on the page load, you can see the element. So let's go to our control here. There we go. Cool. Cool. All right. Well, that is that. I have covered everything that I needed to cover for this, and I'm pretty happy with how it all turned out. So yeah, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to post it in the comment. Make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you get updated whenever I release anything new. So thanks, guys. Have a good day. Bye.